And I couldn't be happier with the location of that property right now. I think it's in exactly the right spot.
Joining us for a conversation is Dr. Roger Moss, the CEO of Labrador Gold. Dr. Moss, welcome to the show.
Thanks very much, Maurice. Happy to be back.
Glad to have you back, as Labrador Gold has released yet another successful press release from the flagship Kingsway Gold Project. Before we begin, Dr. Moss, please introduce us to Labrador Gold and the opportunity the company presents to shareholders.
Yeah, I think it's a great opportunity. We've done really well over the last year. As you mentioned, we've got our flagship Kingsway project right now, and it's great. It's right in the middle of Newfoundland, where a lot of activity is going on. We also still have our other three projects, two in Labrador, one in Ontario, that we're still planning work on, but certainly the focus is here in Kingsway, which has attracted a lot of attention recently. So yeah, results are good, and we're working hard at it.
Let's talk about that focus. When we last spoke in 2019, Labrador Gold was focused only in the province of Labrador, and you referenced Ontario. But the property bank has expanded into Newfoundland and established a new flagship project, which has some of the most prominent names in mining financing your exploration expenditures. Dr. Moss, take us on site and acquaint us with the Kingsway Gold Project.
Yeah, well, this is a great time to be doing the interview because I am on site. I'm out in Newfoundland right now. And Kingsway is really well positioned. It's about 15 kilometers west of Gander, which is a reasonable sized town here in Newfoundland. We have about 77 square kilometers under license that covers some really good geology and some exciting structures, which are of course often responsible for the siting of gold mineralization. So I think the property that we have, we acquired it about a year ago, and I couldn't be happier with the location of that property right now. I think it's in exactly the right spot.
Speaking of location, how did Labrador Gold get involved in gold exploration in Newfoundland?
Well, as you'll remember from our last conversation, we were working up in Labrador, and we optioned some projects up there from Sean Ryan. And we were working with Sean up in Labrador for 2 years. And when Newfound Gold announced their incredible intersection in January of last year, 2020, it took, I think, a lot of people by surprise, including me. And after sort of doing a bit of due diligence on it and figuring out, yeah, okay, this is the real deal, I called Sean because I remember Sean had mentioned he had claims in Newfoundland, and I asked him, where are those claims? And he basically said, well, Roger, you're not going to believe it, but they're right next door to that new discovery. And I was like, wow, okay, that's great. What are you doing with them? And he said, well, you're the fourth company that's called about them today, so we're going to have to put together a package, send it to you guys, and you guys can make us an offer. So that's basically the way it went. And I'm happy to say that Sean eventually accepted our proposal, and we acquired the property from Sean in March of last year.
Now, in April, Labrador Gold began with a 10,000-meter drill program, and shortly thereafter, this is quite impressive, you completed 2 successful financings within 30 days, backed by Eric Sprott and Newfound Gold for almost $25 million. And right after that, Labrador Gold doubled its drill program to 20,000 meters. And today, Labrador Gold has announced that they will mobilize 4 drill rigs and expand the campaign to 50,000 meters. Which leads me to ask, what has Eric Sprott and Newfound Gold convinced in Labrador Gold and the Kingsway Gold Project as becoming the next major gold discovery?
Well, Maurice, it's interesting because neither of those financings were solicited by us. They approached us. Clearly, Newfound Gold has a a lot of knowledge about the entire district. And Denis Laviolette, who's the president of Newfound Gold, is also the president of Sprott, and which is an AI company. And I think that they probably have a very good idea of what we are, what we have at Kingsway. Maybe not quite as good as we do, but probably pretty close. And I know that Eric and Denis are close, and that they Eric is a big shareholder of Newfound Gold as well, and so I think they saw an opportunity and decided that they wanted to get involved. And Eric has been very active in financing all companies, or most companies in Newfoundland, and we were probably one of the biggest deals, I think, outside of Newfound Gold itself. And so I think they just think that the potential here is really good. And like I said, we're right along strike from Newfound Gold. We're on the same fault system, and I'm very happy with where we're at.
Speaking of the center of attention here on the Kingsway Gold Project, we have the Big Vein. What exploration did you carry out leading up to the discovery of visible gold at the Big Vein?
Well, we got on the ground late last year because of the COVID pandemic, and everybody was trying to figure out the different responses to that and the protocols around it. So we didn't get started work until I think it was late July, early August of last year, and we did an incredible amount of work in probably 4 months. And we did a lot of soil sampling, almost 9,000 soil samples, almost 1,000 rock samples. We did some RAB drilling, that's rotary air blast, which is like a sort of scout drilling technique that can really very rapidly test any anomalies. We did about 1,600 meters of that. And we did ground geophysics, probably, I think it was about 250 line kilometers of ground geophysics. So an awful lot of work was done with the crews out there last year. And that sort of made way, or sort of precipitated the discovery of Big Vein and the visible gold that we found at the foot of Big Vein in a quartz vein boulder. So there was a lot of work went into it, and happily we were able to find something significant before the snow covered the ground, and we had to stop work for the winter.
We referenced the drill program. How far along are you, and what is the strategy for the drilling?
We are about 4,000 meters into the 20,000 planned. The strategy is exactly the same as Newfound Gold has been carrying out at Queensway, and specifically at the Keats showing. Very tight spacing. We're drilling multiple holes from the same setup, and we're really trying to figure out where the high grade ore chute is plunging. That's the key to what we're seeing here at Kingsway, and what Newfound Gold have been showing down at Queensway. We know there are higher grade chutes within larger, broad areas of lower grade gold, and those are the chutes that we want to try and hit. And we have been successful in 4 holes so far. We found visible gold in the 4 holes, and 2 holes we reported, and 2 holes are still in the lab. So looking forward to getting the results of those.
Speaking of success, let's talk about that proof of concept a little bit further. You just released a press release talking about Labrador Gold intercepted 20.6 grams per ton over 3.6 meters, and then 10.48 grams per ton over 2.4 meters at the Big Vein. Tell us more, sir.
Yeah, well, those were 2 of the holes that we had visible gold in. Both holes were really good. The quartz veins looking good. Obviously, seeing visible gold in the drill core was a bonus, and it's hard to sort of to target your holes when you don't have visible gold that you see, or when you have to wait a long time for assays to come back from the lab. We're kind of getting around it a little bit by using a portable XRF in the core shack, and what that does is allows us to get a qualitative reading of arsenic and antimony, and generally when we see higher arsenic and antimony in the core, it's well correlated with higher gold grades. So we are using that. But yeah, those two intersections, we were really happy to see the visible gold, to get the results back. And someone mentioned to me just after we put that out that must have relieved a lot of pressure, and sure it did. I mean, it was good. It was good to see. And we got that visible gold in the 7th drill hole, so we weren't too far along when we found it. Now it's a matter of finding it on a more regular basis.
Do you see more potential elsewhere on the property outside of the Big Vein area?
Absolutely. I've talked about this before, and I'm constantly encouraging our geos to get out there and look at different areas, and it really is. There's a lot more potential. Big Vein is only 400 meters in strike length that we mapped out at surface, but it sits within what we call a quartz vein corridor, which extends over 7.5 kilometers. And along that corridor, there's intermittent quartz veining, and there's also a couple of areas that we've already outlined that may have potential for more gold mineralization. So that corridor is extremely prospective, and it also sits immediately adjacent to the Appleton Fault Zone, which is where the gold down at the Queensway property is hosted. It's associated with the Appleton Fault Zone, and I think we have about 12 kilometers of that fault zone on our property. So if you go from Big Vein at 400 meter strike length, it's within the quartz vein corridor, which is 7.5 kilometers. And then outside of that, you still have another, it'll be about 5 kilometers, 4.5 kilometers of the Appleton Fault Zone. So it's potentially a very large system.
Speaking of drill results, when can shareholders expect to receive the next set of assay results?
That's one of the questions I get most often. And all I can say is that the labs are really backed up. They're working hard to try and get through through all the samples that are getting thrown at them. We are putting out samples. Samples go out from the core shack every few days, and I'm anticipating that we'll have more results in I would say probably next week.
Oh, interesting. Next week. Well, looking forward to that. All right, sir. Leaving the Kingsway Gold Project, let's discuss some important topics germane to the project. Are you fully permitted?
We are permitted for the work that we're doing right now. Yeah, there's ongoing permitting for further exploration, but for the work we're doing now, yeah, we're fully permitted.
Does Labrador Gold own the Kingsway Gold Project 100%?
No, we don't. As I mentioned, we have an option with Sean Ryan, to earn in 100%, and we also have that's on 2 of the 3 licenses, and on the 3rd license we have an option with another geologist also to earn to 100%. So we have the option to earn 100% on the entire property.
We're going to get into some numbers later in this discussion, but from a capital expenditure standpoint, how is infrastructure on your project?
Infrastructure is great. Like I mentioned, it's right next to 15 kilometers west of Gander. It's not too far from the Trans-Canada Highway, not too far from the coast. Access is great. It's the gravel roads, logging roads, going right throughout the property. So we couldn't really ask for better infrastructure.
Yeah, I was about to say that's ideal, isn't it? All right, sir. What is your relationship with the First Nations?
Well, here at Kingsway, we don't have any First Nations to deal with. Up in Labrador, we do, and we have a very good relationship with the First Nations and the Nunatavut government. They're a self-governing First Nations group, and we have a very good relationship with them. Our the First Nations band at our Ashwanabe project asked us to stop work for a while there while we negotiate. So we're in negotiation, or we're starting negotiations again now with them to get back to work up at Ashwanabe. But like I said, here at Kingsway, there are no First Nations, and so we're free and clear.
Is the ultimate goal for Labrador Gold to build a mine or discovery and then sell the project?
I think it's discovery and sell the project. None of us are, none of the team here are mine builders. I'm an exploration geologist by trade, I think the goal is to make a discovery and sell it.
Stick with your niche. Good move there. All right, we've discussed the good. Let's address the bad. What can go wrong, and what are your action plans to mitigate that wrong?
Well, obviously, the worst thing would be not to actually find what we're looking for, or not to find the sort of grades of gold that we would like to see. I think mitigating that is just constantly getting out, finding more targets, drilling where we know we have a chance to succeed, and just getting out in the field and doing the groundwork that finds us more targets along that quartz vein corridor and the larger Appleton Fault Zone. I think that's going to be the best way to ensure that we're successful here.
Switching gears, let's discuss the people responsible for increasing shareholder value that are behind the scenes. Dr. Moss, you've assembled an impressive team from your board of directors, management, and exploration team. Please introduce us to your board of directors.
Yeah, the board of directors is quite diversified. I'm the president and CEO, and as I said, I'm an exploration geologist with about 30 years of experience. Jim Borland is a long-time person who's been associated with the mining industry for a long time. He was editor of the Northern Miner for a long time. He's done work with the PDAC in Toronto. Trevor Boyd is another exploration geologist who has a lot of experience in Canada in these kinds of orogenic gold systems. That's what we call the kind of gold that we're looking for. And then we have Leo Carabelis, who's got a lot of experience on the corporate development and investor relations side of things, and Kai Hoffman, who was probably the last addition to the board a few years ago, and he has a lot of interaction with the mining industry through his Soar Financial Group and conferences that he arranges mostly in Germany for the European investors. So he's very well tapped in to that whole European market.
Who is on your management team and technical team?
Well, management team is really just myself and our CFO, Eric Myung, and he's basically helps me out with all the budgeting and accounting and that kind of stuff. The technical team, Sean Ryan, has been working with us as a technical advisor ever since we picked up his properties in Labrador, and continues to do so. And late last year, we added Quinton Hennigh, who is well known to many people who follow junior mining companies. Quinton, I've known for some time. I worked with him probably about 10 years ago now, and when we were both technical advisors to another junior company. And I've got a lot of respect for his opinion, and of course he's also a director of Newfoundland Gold, and so he's advising us on sort of how we can approach the property in a similar way to how Newfound Gold has been managing their drilling.
Let's get into some numbers. Sir, please provide the capital structure for Labrador Gold.
Yeah, the capital structure right now, after, like you said, those two financings, we have about 150 million shares outstanding. We're fully diluted. We're up to about 200 million, with probably about 43 million warrants, all of which are in the money right now, and about 7 million in options, which would also probably be all in the money right now. So yeah, it's pretty good. We have a float of about 40%, and insiders 15%. Eric Sprott being the main one after the two financings we did with him, he's up to about 12.5%. And then we have a couple of institutions and that are involved. Palisades Gold Corp is probably around 8%. Crestcat Capital probably around 8%. Plethora Precious Metals has some. I'm not sure where they're at now. And the other one, well, I put Newfound Gold in there as well, and they're probably at about 8%.
How much cash and cash equivalents do you have?
Right now we're 36 million, something like that. We do have warrants coming in. Yeah, I believe we're at about 36 million.
How much debt do you have?
None.
That's a great position to be in. And what is the burn rate, sir?
Well, in terms of our G&A, it's about 50,000 a month. If you add in the exploration, we're up to about 300,000 a month. So 250,000 for exploration and 50 for G&A.
Well capitalized here. In closing, Dr. Moss, what keeps you up at night that we don't know about?
Not much. I sleep really well, and I try not to worry too much when I go to bed. But some of the things that you might not know about are just shortages of people and equipment on the island. That's something that I'm always thinking about. Are we going to need more rigs? Are we going to need more equipment? Do we need more people? And it's really hard to get any of those things on the island. I know I drove a truck from Toronto to Gander because we needed a truck out here, and we couldn't find one on the island. I've heard of a company shipping a truck from Vancouver, which is on the other coast, the west coast of Canada, all the way to Gander, which is pretty much on the east coast, because you just can't get them here. So things like that are certainly challenges, but I think we're well placed and to meet that challenge.
Last question: what did I forget to ask?
I don't think you forgot to ask much there. People, we did talk about technical team and the people in the field here. I always want to bring them up because they're doing an awesome job. They're the ones that are logging the core, sampling the core, getting it out into the lab, going out into the field every day, rain or shine, and doing the work that's going to really bring success to the company. So I just have a lot of admiration for their work ethic. A lot of them are younger geologists, and they've proved to be really good, and couldn't be happier with the team we have.
Dr. Moss, for someone listening that wants to get more information about Labrador Gold, please share the contact details.
Yeah, well, my contact details is simply rmoss, MOSS, at labradorgold.com. Happy to take any questions from shareholders or potential investors that are interested in hearing more about the story. Our website, www.labradorgold.com. And one of the things that I would encourage people to do is to follow us on Twitter, which is at Lab Gold Corp. That is, we post a lot of things on Twitter. Most recently, we've had a few videos up there that show little clips of people working in the field. That team that I was talking about, like that's really the best place to look for things that are happening on a day-to-day basis. And we do try and highlight people working in the field on some of these videos. So check that out.
Dr. Moss, it's been a pleasure speaking with you. Wishing you and Labrador Gold the absolute best, sir.
Thank you very much, Maurice. That was great, and hope to be back here with some more interesting news in the not too distant future.
Looking forward to it, sir.
Thank you.
The information presented on Proven and Probable is provided for educational and informational purposes only, without any express or implied warranty of any kind, including warranties of accuracy, completeness, or fitness for any particular purpose. The information is not intended to be and does not constitute financial, investment, or trading advice, or any other advice. You should not make any financial, investment, or trading decision based on any of the information presented without first undertaking independent due diligence and consultation with a professional broker or competent financial advisor.